Welcome back. Today we're diving into a really evocative section of Nietzsche's work titled The Return Home. It begins with this powerful cry, "Oh, lonesomeness, my home, lonesomeness." He's not lamenting, he's celebrating his return to solitude.
That's an interesting starting point. Most people think of lonesomeness or loneliness as a negative thing, but here it's framed as home.
Exactly. And the text immediately personifies this lonesomeness. It speaks back to Zarathustra, almost like a mother. It says, "Who was it that like a whirlwind once rushed away from me?" and reminds him that he once claimed he had unlearned silence by being with lonesomeness for too long.
So his home is playfully chiding him for leaving and for thinking he was done with silence. What's the point it's making?
The point is that he's learned a crucial lesson while he was away, among people. Lonesomeness tells him, "O Zarathustra, everything do I know, and the key piece of knowledge is this. Thou wert more forsaken amongst the many, thou unique one, than thou ever wert with me."
More forsaken among many people than when he was totally alone. That sounds like a paradox. Can we break that down?
Absolutely. This is the central theme of the chapter. Nietzsche draws a sharp distinction between two concepts, lonesomeness and forsakenness.
Okay, so they're not the same thing in his view. What's the difference?
Lonesomeness, his home, is a chosen state of solitude. It's a place of comfort, honesty, and self-discovery, a place where you can be yourself. He says, "Here, however, art thou at home and house with thyself. Here canst thou utter everything. Nothing is here ashamed."
So lonesomeness is a productive, positive solitude, a creative space where ideas can flourish and you can speak truthfully to yourself.
Precisely. He says, "On every simile dost thou here ride to every truth." It's a place of clarity and intellectual freedom, but forsakenness is something else entirely. It's the painful feeling of being isolated while surrounded by others.
So it's that feeling of being in a crowded room but feeling completely alone and misunderstood. That's a much more familiar and painful experience.
Exactly. It's the feeling of not being seen or understood, even when people are all around you. Maybe even because people are all around you. Lonesomeness reminds him of this, saying, "One thing is forsakenness, another matter is lonesomeness. That hast thou now learned."
And it seems this forsakenness is what he experienced down there among men. The text mentions people want to be treated indulgently. What does that mean?
It means they don't want to be challenged. They want flattery, comfort, and easy answers. They don't want the hard, wild, and strange truths that a figure like Zarathustra offers.
So when he's with them, he can't be his true self, which leads to that feeling of forsakenness. The text gives some examples of this, right?
Yes, it gives 3 powerful examples of true forsakenness. The first is when he was lost in a forest beside a corpse and felt it was safer to be led by his animals than by men.
Wow. More dangerous have I found it among men than among animals. That's a stark indictment of humanity.
It truly is. It highlights a deep mistrust born from painful experience. The second example is just as bleak. He describes being on his isle like a well of wine, giving and giving to the thirsty, until everyone else is drunk and he alone is left thirsty.
That's the forsakenness of the giver, the teacher, who pours everything out and is left empty and unnourished in return.
Yes, and he even wails, "Is taking not more blessed than giving, and stealing yet more blessed than taking?" It's a moment of complete despair.
A total inversion of conventional morality. He's so drained by giving to those who don't appreciate it that he starts to see taking or even stealing as more blessed.
It shows the depth of his exhaustion and isolation. The final example of forsakenness is perhaps the most internal and psychological. It's when his stillest hour comes and whispers to him, "Speak and succumb." Essentially, give up, compromise your message to be accepted.
So it's the temptation to betray himself, to abandon his difficult path for an easier one. And this temptation itself is a form of forsakenness.
Exactly. It's a moment of profound self-doubt and disgust with his own mission, fueled by the loneliness of his struggle.
So after recounting these horrible moments of forsakenness, he returns to addressing lonesomeness, his home. The tone shifts back, right?
Yes, it becomes tender again. "O lonesomeness, my home lonesomeness, how blessedly and tenderly speaketh thy voice unto me. We do not question each other. We go together openly through open doors.
It's a complete contrast to the world of men. With lonesomeness, everything is open and clear. Down there, in society, everything is a mess.
A perfect summary. He says, down there, all talking is in vain. He learned that the best wisdom in society is forgetting and passing by.
Basically, to survive among people, you have to learn to ignore things and move on, because genuine understanding is impossible.
He feels he's too clean for it. He says, I do not like even to inhale their breath. Alas, that I have lived so long among their noise and bad breaths.
That's such a visceral image, the noise and bad breaths of humanity. He's talking about more than just literal smells, obviously.
He's talking about the spiritual and intellectual pollution, the endless, meaningless chatter. He calls it the human hubbub. He says that if you announce your wisdom with bells, the shopmen in the marketplace will out-jingle it with pennies.
Wisdom is drowned out by commerce. Profound ideas are devalued and can't compete with the noise of everyday trivial concerns.
And it gets worse. Everything among them talketh, nothing succeedeth any longer. Everything cackleth, but who will sit quietly on the nest and hatch eggs?
That's a fantastic metaphor. Everyone is talking, but no one is doing the quiet, patient work of creating something or bringing an idea to fruition.
It's all surface level. He says ideas that were once profound are now out-champed and out-chewed from the mouths of common people, rendered meaningless.
So secrets of profound souls now belong to street trumpeters and other butterflies. Everything deep is made shallow and public.
Yes, and he realizes this human hubbub was his greatest danger. Not because it would attack him, but because it wished to be indulged and tolerated.
And that leads to his other great danger, pity.
Exactly. He says, in indulging and pitying lay ever my greatest danger. To survive, he lived a life of petty lies of pity. He sat disguised among them, pretending to misjudge himself, just so he could endure them. He'd tell himself, thou fool, thou dost not know men.
And he indulged them when they misjudged them. He was hard on himself and easy on them, taking revenge on himself for his own indulgence.
That sounds like a psychological trap. He's being stung by poisonous flies, but tells himself, innocent is everything petty of its pettiness.
And then he reveals who he thinks the most poisonous flies are, those who call themselves the good.
Wait, the good? Not the evil or the wicked, but the good? Why are they the most poisonous?
Because he says they sting in all innocence, they lie in all innocence. Their actions are cloaked in a self-righteousness that makes them impossible to argue with.
And their primary weapon is pity. He says, pity teaches him to lie. Pity maketh stifling air for all free souls.
This is a core Nietzschean idea. For him, pity from the good isn't a virtue. It's a tool that smothers greatness and individuality.
He keeps people small. The stupidity of the good, he says, is unfathomable. They can't comprehend a spirit that doesn't want or need their pity.
So their goodness is actually a stifling force that prevents true free thought. It creates a suffocating atmosphere.
Precisely. And because of this, he had to conceal his own riches, his spiritual and intellectual wealth, because he found everyone poor in spirit.
He was constantly assessing what they could handle, what was enough spirit for them, and what was too much. That must have been exhausting.
Utterly. It's the lie of my pity. He had to constantly diminish himself and his ideas to fit in, to avoid overwhelming them.
It all sounds like a swamp. In fact, he uses that exact imagery, doesn't he?
He does. One should not stir up the marsh. One should live on mountains. It's a final rejection of that environment.
He's escaping the bad vapors that rest under the old rubbish of society's values.
And now, back in his lonesomeness, he can finally breathe again. With blessed nostrils do I again breathe mountain freedom.
His nose is freed at last from the smell of all human hubbub. The relief is palpable.
The chapter ends with this incredible image of his soul sneezing. With sharp breezes tickled, as with sparkling wine, sneezeth my soul.
It's such a strange but perfect image of a violent, involuntary, and cleansing release, an expulsion of all that bad air.
And after the sneeze, his soul shouts in triumph. health to thee. He has returned home, cleansed himself of society, and regained his spiritual health.
So the journey through the world of men, as painful as it was, served its purpose. It taught him the true value of his home, lonesomeness.
That's the ultimate lesson. He had to experience true forsakenness to finally and fully appreciate the blessed, healthy nature of his chosen solitude.
A powerful and challenging piece. It really makes you reconsider the nature of solitude in community.